almost Yom Yerushalayim. One of the things I love to do before a festival or before a major event is to try and look at and find a book about the event itself, to get an eyewitness account of the event. And there's none better than this book, With Might and Strength, the autobiography of Rabbi Shlomo Goren. Rabbi Goren was the chief rabbi of the IDF, and was he who we see in the pictures of the videos of the events of 1967, sounding of the shofar, leading the prayers at the Kotel. And while I was reading the book, I came across the following paragraph, which I want to share with you. If you look in the picture, you'll see there is a brand new siddur that Rabbi Goren is holding. And I want to tell you the story, share you the story about this siddur. So Rabbi Goren proposed, when we got to the Kotel, that we daven Mincha and recite the Hallel and Nachem beside the Kotel, which for 19 years had not been the site of any Jewish prayers. But I saw that it was only 11:30 a.m. and we could not do the Mincha prayer yet. We therefore began reciting psalms and sang, "This year in rebuilt Yerushalayim." Of course, we know from the singing of the Seder, L'Shana Haba Yerushalayim Habnuya. Next year will we be merit to be in a rebuilt Jerusalem. The soldiers of Rabbi Goren were singing Hashana Be'Yerushalayim Habnuya. By this time, the entire division had reached the Kotel. Mota Gur and Uzi Narkis had arrived, and I repeated the service in memory of the fallen while everyone cried. I found that I too could not hold back the tears. When the time for Mincha arrived, I led the service and prayed the first Mincha at the Kotel after liberation. On the Mincha of Tisha B'Av, we recite a special prayer, as appears in the Talmud. Comfort, O Lord, our God, the mourners of Jerusalem, the the city that is in mourning. Without her children, she is in ruins from her dwellings, she is despised for her lost glory. She is desolate by having no inhabitants. She sits with her hair covered. I adapted the prayer, writes Rabbi Goren, to convey the positive message, because the IDF had already captured and liberated the Temple Mount, Jerusalem, and the Kotel. I began the prayer as usual, he writes. Comfort, O Lord, our God, the mourners of Zion, and the mourners of Jerusalem. But then he adds, and the city that is joyful and rejoicing, that is going to be built and is happy with her children and her soldiers, and is not in ruins, and is no longer despised for her lost glory. I concluded, my heart grieves for those whom were slain, referring to our fallen soldiers. My innermost heart yearns for those who were slain. For you, O God, consumed her with fire, and with fire you shall rebuild her. After the repetition of Amidah, I called everyone loudly and with great excitement to say Hallel with a blessing. By this time, thousands had joined us in the Kotel Plaza, which was very narrow, and everyone joined me in saying Hallel, which lasted a very long time. The photo of leading the prayers appeared on the cover of Life magazine and made a big impression across the world. All soldiers, secular and religious, were very emotional. Since we did not have a Siddurim, everyone stood and listened attentively. A religious paratrooper named Yaakov Sagiv gave me his Siddur, and I davened from it. After the service, I wrote in his Siddur. This Siddur was used at the first Mincha beside the Kotel on the 28th of Iyar, 5727. In the name of the Lord, we will act and we will succeed. And I signed it. This is the picture of that Siddur. And as you look at the pictures of the excitement and emotions of the soldiers and Rabbi Goren, we can get a glimpse and a taste of what it means for those soldiers to have liberated the old city and the Kotel. For us born after 1967, it's always easy just to walk down to the Kotel, get a few guys together and recite the Mincha. Tour groups coming and spending time and are inspired by the Kotel. But imagine that for 19 years, no Jew was able to pray at that site. And imagine being the one who led the first prayer. In the lead up here, as we enter Yom Yerushalayim, the day in which Jerusalem was once again reunited, when freedom reigned, and now there was freedom for every religion to go and pray at the holy sites. Let us remember the joy and feel the joy of that first day, of that first prayer, that Mincha prayer at the Kotel. L'shana v'hashana haba, Yerushalayim. Happy Yom Yerushalayim.